Sagittarius, so yet again Steve is here with something of a message that is for you, but it's like a cold, daunting feeling of a long, drawn-out cycle that has come to an end, or the name Michael, or Michelle, or Mika, Amelia, Emily, Malia, Maria, Michael, Jackson, Julian, Jason, Justin, Jackie. I don't know, but I keep hearing this sound in my head and this daunting feeling of like a funeral or a very long, cold feeling. Okay, so it's like church, like a spiritual church, or like a spiritual connection that has come to a close. Because the reason why I'm saying it is like closure, kosher, see, it's the spirit in the sky, silver, but it's the spirit in the sky. It's also like, it feels like this very daunting feeling of funeral. Okay, so like 4 weddings and a funeral, like 4, Scorpio or Aries probably being involved. It was actually the Scorpio, well, it was the Libra reading this came up in. But I'm picking up 4 Aries, Scorpio, life path 4, maybe involved in this situation. But what it seems to be is like this very long released feeling, like this, like I no longer have to carry this burden any longer. Like a spirit going up into the sky and kind of like this sigh of like relief that something is over, like Jim Morrison pretty much. This is the end, beautiful friend. Like the end of a friendship, the end of a loving relationship, the end of a long drawn out spiritual cycle. Because I'm picking up like the Hierophant, right, which would be yourselves, because we would look at the energy of 5, Sagittarius, life path 5, Taurus. Okay, and I don't know, what I'm feeling is like this daunting feeling of Dawn, the name Dawn, French, or someone from France. But like or Danielle, Danny Glover, can't take this shit no more, life path 7, okay, or Cancerian, and like I just can't take it anymore. And it's like this, it's like a feeling of hospital, like you may have to go into hospital, and it's like sitting there in a cold church or in a cold hospital, or feeling like I'm not wanted, or like cold, like just out in the cold. But that is a 5, like Sagittarius, Taurus. Okay. And for some of you, it just feels like this release, like now I am released, now I am free from prison, or from my burden, or from something that I've been carrying for so long that now I can now move on with my life. Now I know, like some of you have had closure. That could be kosher. The person that died here was called kosher. But like closure, like at least now I know, and at least now I have closure, and at least now I can start making those steps forward of progression of my life. Now, I don't know if this is a physical loss of a person for all of you, Pucci, Pisces, Paula, anybody getting with P, Patrick, Fitzpatrick, I'm also hearing Fitzgerald, the name Gerald, Geraldine, Dean, the name Dean, Danielle, okay, Dan, but Danielle, I think it's like Danielle, Yelzebub, something to do with Elzebub, maybe something to do with around a Capricorn or a Gemini, okay, which would be a 6. But yeah, like this. Like a spiritual type sort of church. Like mourning has broken. I mean, is it like a gospel choir singing or something? Or like singing the gospel? But like mourning. Like I'm mourning the loss of somebody. I'm actually grieving. I'm actually leaving. For the first time in my life have I realised that I'm actually leaving. So 8, Aquarius, Leo energies, and that I'm realising that I am actually leaving. To be quite honest, if you're grieving and stuff like that, that's probably really not helping. But that's the kind of feeling that I have here, like this grieving of like loss, of moving on, of like the end of a very long cycle, closure, closing a book, right? Physically realizing something about church, maybe realizing something about the book, or I've been going so long by the book of structure of Taurus, of 5, I've been going so long in hope that then all of a sudden hope got took from me. So I'm also hearing the name Hope, or anybody begin with like H, Henry, Hope, Haley. Anybody begin with H, okay. But like, yeah, or like Henry is also drugs, like heroin, like I'm detoxing from something, and I realise that I've got to start detoxing, and that I feel cold, like goose flesh and that sort of stuff. Like I'm just going cold, haunting feeling, like maybe of detoxing, which you do when there are certain things around like that. Okay, and that suddenly I'm going cold, and like, I mean, it could be illness, like I'm ill, like physically got cold and flu. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. But I'm definitely picking up like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. So like some sort of asylum, or some sort of like, are you going crazy? Or like, I must be going crazy off my mind, or something like that. Like crazy, John, Craven, Raven, Devil's Messenger, like devil, Devi, Evie, Steve, Eve, Stevie, Evie. Let's find out what the tarot says for you, because to be quite honest with you, I'm trying to express it in the form of a feeling, but I can't feel it because I feel numb, which means that I'm either real cold and I can't feel anything and I'm numb, or like it's my mum, like it's something around like the loss of my mother or something, and it's like complete grief and burden, and like a release of energy, the end of a cycle, the end of time type sort of thing. Like, is this truly the end of time? Have I come to the end of this? Truly come to the end? I don't know if there's like a very depressed energy here, feeling of depression, of like, have I really come to the end of this? Is this really the end? Okay, so let's see. So you could be dealing with a Pisces, Sagittarius, or a life path 3, or your mother, or something like that. But this is like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to take back control of my own life. I'm going to have to start putting myself first, of things that I want in my life. Okay, I can't sit back any longer, just kind of like thinking that anybody has power over me or power of attorney. Some of you might have to go to court, and this would represent like the 3 of Pentacles. But like, you know, I can't do this any longer. Like, you have no power over me in order to make my decisions for me. I don't feel that way. Like, I have to take back control of my own life. Okay, so some of you it could be a Pisces, it could be a mother here. Okay, let's see. Sagittarius, sitting in a seat of position, like I want a position. Okay, there you go. There's the grief energy. That's what I'm kind of picking up. It's come from the Libra energy here. It's like Scorpio, Libra, number 2, of like physical death of a mother, or the death of the past, like retrograde. Like retrograde. Retrograde is kind of happens, and it's like, what the fuck just happened? Like literally what just happened? I am completely and utterly shocked. And that, is there any way that anybody's ever really going to change their mind? And it's like, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to change my mind this time. Like, I am completely focused on a Pisces as well, maybe, that this person is focused on, because there's 3 and 3 here, which means that I'm sorry, but I'm focused in other directions in my life now. Okay, that I'm going to have to start standing up for myself and being an adult, or like, I'm going to have to start realizing that this is not good for my health. This is like, this situation here for somebody is not good for their health, which means that it may have been like, it could be grief, it could be the loss of a loved one, it could be the end of a very long cycle that you've gone through for so long that you've finally had closure, and then really it's just accepting it, that a person is also trying to move on with their life and accept someone else into their life as well. Because you have 2 3s, the 4 is all staring at a 3 here. Okay, but this can be where people are spying to try and find out who exactly is it that you're offering to, and what is it exactly that it is that you're doing. and why should you be doing that, why should you not be doing this, and why this, and why did it happen, and why there has to be another reason of why, there has to be someone else in the way, there has to be a reason of why you don't want to accept things that are over, there has to be a reason. I have to keep searching. But if you keep digging into Pandora's box, you end up finding out things that you don't like or you might not want to hear. And then when you don't want to hear it, that makes it worse. It doesn't make it any better. Okay, so this can be like cross watchers or stuff like that, getting really pissed off and wound up. The fact that someone may be concentrated on another person, and because they are, it's heartbreaking in order to keep watching it. But this is you guys sitting back, possibly watching tarot card readings to find out what's going on, okay, and spending maybe more time focusing on cross-watching than actually yourself, okay. But the trouble is with general readings, I read in numerology, I read in numbers, okay. So what you've got is Pisces, Scorpio, Aries, Libra, and possible Scorpio, okay, twice, maybe. But this is where retrograde is suddenly thrown a curveball at everybody, and everybody starts feeling certain ways, where everybody comes out in the closet and that everybody's got something to say about it. Like, well, I've got to say something about it. Well, I've got to say something about it too. Well, I'm going to say something. Well, if you're not, I am. And if you are, then I'm not. And it's like, it's retrograde. It's retrograde. Retrograde judgment is where things obviously come up for review, okay? And it feels like that someone did come back, but what they got is told no. They kind of got told no. I realised that I had a retrograde moment, or a momentary lapse of reason, where I can't reason with you. How can I reason with you? You can't, because you won't accept me. But that's because I said no. Okay, so some of you turned down your past energy here and realised that this wasn't a good situation for a lot of you to be in. Okay. So let's see. Sagittarius. Because it's a test of faith also. Okay, and it's a will. So, like a will, there might be a will, there might be a death certificate, there might be a will if there's a way. But no, I'm now single. So I made my offer, I made my dues, I've paid my dues, and now I have to make it. I paid my dues. Something to do around Jewish kind of stuff here. But I paid my dues time after time. And I try to do this, and I try to do it time after time after time after time. But I realise now that I am now single. That I can now put myself first and start thinking of my own health. Because there could be energies of health here. Because whichever way you look at it, this is an unhealthy relationship. This is an unhealthy relationship. So when you're not focused on this person saying yes or no or why, then you start taking back the power of 9. Because it can be that feeling of purgatory. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place now of knowing that I am single through this. Okay, and I'm the person, because what you don't want to do is play a victim of it. You have to admit mistakes, admit things that are just not working and that it isn't, and that it can be retrograde moments, and then you end up single, being able to think about the rest of your life now here. Now, if this is grief, this is something to do with around money. Okay, I'm also hearing Griffin. The Griffin. Some of you might be going out on a date. So, wow, Sagittarius, what is going on? So, you've got the King of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, that are with each other, and Libra. These two people, if this isn't you, it's someone else. Because you've got 3 and 3. Okay, you got 3 and 3, and Judgment, and single, but not single. Which means that if you are Sagittarian, or Virgo placements maybe, or Life Path 9 energies, and you're in this reading of a soul group reading, because this is going to be involving all your family, all of your friends, all of the people that you know, so on and so forth, and also the other people, meaning the people that you are connected to. If you are not in a relationship, that's because these two are in a relationship, because they're facing each other as a counterpart. So I have to give you both directions of that, okay? Because this could be a very spiritual, loving, divine marriage, okay? But it can also be an ending with the past, and it's a karmic energy of return. What happens? I returned here. that was my return. That's what I got in return for the energy of retrograde, saying, okay, someone may have returned. Somebody here returned, and it wasn't what they first expected it to be when it turned up as retrograde. So it turned up as, like, retrograde can be a fooled trick energy. Like, okay, I'm going to see if there's a chance of reconciliation and see if we can go through the same cycle that we've continued to go through forever. And I'm going to come back, and here's Johnny, okay? And I'm going to, because there's a Virgo energy for me of how, when I say that, it just stems back from a long time ago. But this could have been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Okay, so let's go over a few things here for you, what this means and what this can mean for all of you. Okay, so this obviously means now that some of you are actually physically free and single now to be able to go and meet this person yourself. But what I don't mean is your past or the other person or a cross-watcher, whoever's watching. This does not mean go back to this person. What this means is that there is a spiritual karmic lesson here, Libra, justice and judgment. Okay, that there is a spiritual karmic lesson here of what you wished for is what you got, but some did and some didn't. So it's, I've paid my dues, I've paid my mistakes, I've denied someone and said no because I love this person and I'm with this person, the king and the queen. That's someone that may have been turned down and told no. That could be you guys or someone else. Okay, someone got told no. Okay, because they're with this person. Now, well, probably not. Probably because someone basically just said, no, this is not a situation. I don't want to go into a third party situation. I don't want to go around this cycle anymore. We've been around this. We've been over old ground. We've been to soul swimming in a fish bowl. We could be dealing with a fish, Pisces. And we've done this and we've been over it. And I'm sorry, but it is finished. Somebody ends up single. Now, if you're cross-watching or watching and getting pissed off, knowing that this is what the person left for, what you will have is hatred and resentment. If you have hatred and resentment of what you put out is what you will get back, meaning that if you can fully move on with your life, what you get in return is another person. Because spiritual lessons are really about admitting kind of one's mistakes, realizing and coming out of the energy of retrograde and thinking, is this kind of situation healthy for anybody? Does it involve family? Would it involve family? Would it involve mothers, fathers, situations, brothers, siblings? Is that situation healthy to go back through this situation where it will affect everybody? That when you're also in and out of relationships and breaking up and splitting up and breaking up and splitting up and breaking up and splitting up, everybody seems to start to have an opinion about everybody else's life. When you get back, every mother and father then starts to say, I told you so. And then when it ends, they say, well, I told you not to do that, but you did. Okay, so when you're putting out these kind of energies, if you are, whoever this is, being able to move on, what you get in return at some point is the king and the queen. Okay, meaning that you go into another relationship through being single. Now, if your energy is about, no, fuck it, I refuse to let this person be happy with the king and the queen as a relationship, then you come in between karmic justice, which means that karma will not let you meet this person that you may not be prepared to meet. And it may be the truth that you may not be able to accept that these two people are together. Okay, I have to give you these messages, Sag, because it can be you, it can be them, it can be green, it can be blue, it can be anybody that's in the scenario. Okay, but that's the devious energy of Pandora's box, is that what you're watching for is what is going on with someone else. Well, there. Okay, but what I'm trying to get you to hopefully understand is that when people start to move on with their life, retrograde puts a situation in life where souls come back for review to stop you from making decisions yourself. If you turn out to be controlling and think that the other person's very controlling and narcissistic, well, you wouldn't want to be with the person anyway, right? So there's an energy here of a bad, unhealthy situation and relationship. But there's also a good one here. Now, if you guys are watching and you're like, yep, I'm in a really good situation with the king and the queen together, and it's a spiritual divine connection of like, okay, you've now passed the test of retrograde. This is what you get for that, because you've understood, you've realized what you wanted, you realized that it was retrograde, you decided to turn someone down and say no, and started to move on with your life and go forward with this king and the queen energy here. If you're on that side, then you're on this king and queen, but we're not really doing a you versus them at the minute. You're with the king and the queen. If you are here and you are single from this energy, but you continue to plague an energy, and I say you meaning anybody, okay? If you are continuing to plague these two here that are trying their best to make a relationship, then you're controlling the hands of fate, and fate will strike you down at some point later, okay? Because it will be an energy of retrograde of where you can end up meeting this person here, okay? This person here, you can end up meeting this person later on, and then this ends up happening through a situation of the first part being you and the next part being another person, okay? Because you go round in a cycle. Because I'm definitely seeing that this king is turned his back on something that he realised was not good for mental health or for my health. Okay, for my health in general, this is not a situation that I really want to put myself through. So I've had to make a decision. This is normally where a masculine energy gets classed as an arsehole. Okay, because I've made my dues, I've paid my dues, and I want to make it in a different direction. Okay, this could be money, it can be job, it can be anything. Okay, but I've made my dues and I have to make it. And if I have to make it, I don't want to break it, make it, break it, make it, break it, make it, break it, and be record breakers like Roy Castle that died of cancer. So I don't know if it's involving a 7, a life path 7, or someone that may have died of a brain tumour or cancer that could have been a part here. Okay. Physical, not the sign of. Okay. What other messages have we got for you here, Sagittarius? Because the trouble is with hate and trying to also come in between when you come back, or people come back. When you come back, you might find that two people are together. If you continue to do that and continue to live in hope, what you live is in the energy of purgatory, is in hope. But hope was the last thing that got dug out from Pandora's box. That's what started to drive everybody crazy. Okay, that's what makes everybody wait for other people to break up and split up and think, well, I'm going to have to wait for you to break up and split up because you're the one I want. But that doesn't work out for you in the future. Okay, so you have to look at, well, how long is a piece of string? How long am I prepared to wait? Have I come to terms that it is over? If I have, and I have someone in mind, then this person is yours. This person is yours. But if yours is like, no, that's my man, that's my woman, how dare you, and you turn into a violent energy, you have to be very careful of this card being here. Okay, you have to be very careful of what ends up coming back into justice. Okay, because 2s can be a fly away Peter, fly away Paul, come back Peter, come back Paul. Okay, you come back and then you go, and then you come back and then you go. But if that cycle has been one that you've been in, your messages were about grieving and about getting over the loss, being free to do what you want now, because a cycle is finished, over. Okay, if you've accepted that into your heart and you can let someone go with warm, loving arms, and you can say, okay, I love you enough to let you go. Okay, I have enough respect for you to let you go. I have enough respect for you to go on your way, and you have my blessing to get on with the rest of your life. If you can find that within yourself, that is good karmic justice, because you give someone else your blessing. Because what a lot of you may not realize is that retrograde is something that fucks with your feelings and communication. It fucks with you. It really does. It's a planet that throws everything into confusion and everything into a state of, why the fuck me? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why should this happen? Why did I have to be asked now I'm with someone? What? Because this can be like, you know, where you've moved on and you move on with your life and you meet someone and you're with them, and then the person comes back after a long time and says, oh, hi, remember me, the person that didn't want you before? You know, that kind of stuff. And then you can go through this like, well, I'm in a relationship now. You're like, well, do you really want them, or do you? And then you get into this like two of like, I've made my choice. I've discovered my choice. I've made it. I've paid my dues. I've paid off my debt. I've paid my money. I am now paid up. So some of you, it might be where you were in debt, or somebody here was in debt and they had to pay it off. They had to pay off their money or whatever it was that needed paying, like bills, so on and so forth, debt that somebody could have been in, and that they suddenly had like this energy of money and they were able to pay it off. Okay. Sagittarius. Because I keep looking at this king and queen that are looking at each other for a very stable, loving, nurturing, caring relationship. And I've got a feeling that that may be a cross-watcher that's going to get really annoyed by watching that here. By watching that. Cross-watching is never really a good idea if you have malice, or Alice, or Alison, or Ali. But if you have malice in your heart, it's not good to cross-watch. I can't, and no tarot reader can ever stop you from doing what people want to do on public displayed energy. Okay, I can never stop you from doing that. But what I can tell you is that sometimes from an unstable mind or an unstable broken heart, sometimes that is not good in order to wind yourself up of worrying about other people, what they're doing in their life, because it comes up as controlling. It means that I'm trying to stop you from making your own worst nightmare. But somebody doesn't see it that way. Somebody doesn't see it that way. See, this can be family. We need to stop you from making that decision because we know that you're going to regret it in the end. And I know that you're going to make a mistake, and I know best, blah, blah, blah. We know best. We know what's best for you. Because this can be like an arranged marriage, or someone that has to be with a person, but they don't. They want to be with someone that they fell in love with, you know. And they don't want that arranged marriage. They want the person that they love, okay? Because the king and the queen are a stable actual couple, are an actual couple that are caring and nurturing and loving each other, okay? And then you get justice here, which means that all karmic situations here are finished. And if somebody's on this side that continues to offer or not move away from the energy and try to find out what's going on here, then this is going to end up coming back to bite you energies later, which means that if you end up meeting a king and a queen, you can go through any kind of cycle that may produce itself up as a lesson of what karma will say. Okay, blah, blah, blah. These are going to be your lessons. This is what's going to happen to you, so on and so forth. But if your opinion is of like, I don't want anything bad happening to you. I don't want you to do this. I don't think you should be with them. They're going to break your heart. They will do this. They will do that. That's you listening to other people. And unfortunately, sometimes that is a very difficult thing not to do, is to listen to other people. Okay. But sometimes, I don't know, mothers and stuff like that can also be right as well, you know. Is like, because there are families here. And retrograde and judgment is always where we've gone through a hell of a long fucking cycle together. Everybody knows about whatever it is. Okay, and then when family find out yes or no or yes, and you're in and you're out and you know, and then you yes and you know, then your family starts to say, well, fucking hell, what are you doing? And you're like, oh no, we're back together. Oh no, we're not back together. Oh, they left me. Oh no, we're back together. No, we're not. They left me for someone else. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. Are they lying? Are they not lying? You go through all of those. Your family ends up thinking, what are you doing with your relationship? So then when you end up, then other people start to form an opinion of like, yeah, well, they're an arsehole. They're an arsehole. It's their fault. It's the man's fault. It's the other woman's fault. It's everybody else's fault but to blame but to mine. If you have that opinion and you can't be like, you know what? Let's just suck this up. Let's just fucking get on with my life, okay? Realise that things are what they are, unfortunately, okay? And give my blessings for people to do as they feel to make a mistake themselves. Right, if that's what someone feels they're doing, okay, is to let that happen. That means that you have released the control of another person. Trying to control the hands of fate, I say it a lot, when you least expect it, things happen. Normally that is during retrograde and planet returns and karmic returns. Okay, when you get a karmic return, it's normally around Saturn or like a retrograde moment that returns itself back up for review to find out, have you learned anything from the past whatsoever? Have you? Because if you haven't, you will have a momentary lapse of reason of weakness to go back into the energy that has persisted to show you the same lesson over and over again. So if you was to get back together, you would basically do the same thing anyway. Okay, so like that's what a human will say, well, it's their fault, they're a human. But that's a spiritual connection. Okay, that's a spiritual connection. So what you found yourself in, for some people on this side, is the energy of someone that is moving forward with this king and this queen. That is their energy of effort that they are prepared to put into this couple here. And then whatever this turns up to be here is going to be whatever that be with clarified cards. So if you want to join the rest of the reading, it will only be over on the full access bundle only, Sagittarius. Sorry. No, we're doing monthlies, right? So this is both tiers. February, this is for, sorry if I didn't say it's for February. And it will be on both tiers. The first tier is very cheap. Second tier is a little bit more expensive, but you obviously get weeklies, thoughts and feelings, you versus them, different energies, different readings, different things. And that's what you get on the full access bundle. Okay, but if you want to join, you're more than welcome. You can find all links provided below. All information for personal readings, emails are all provided below. Angel Radio also, if you like my music at different times, it's different stuff. You can also find that below as well. It's another channel. And we'll go forward on seeing what this is for you. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.